Hey everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 17, Episode 12, Pumpkins and Paparazzi. Okay, a little bit different today. I have not watched the episode yet. I'm going to be watching it as I recap, and let's get started. Okay, so the first scene is at Terry and Heather Dubrow's house, and there are still these contingencies on the sale, so until it's a done deal, it's not a done deal, I guess. But Josh Altman and his wife come over, and they're having, a little chat about, I guess, I don't know, the sale of the house. And Josh said, I just want you to know, your house is the third highest selling house in Orange County. And they're like, yeah, awesome. And I guess the deal is that they have to be out of the house in 3 weeks. But her little pied-à-terre in LA is only a 2-bedroom place. And her college-age kids are coming home for like a month at Christmas time. So she needs a bigger place. So Heather Altman is going to help Heather Dubrow find another place to live. I assume in Orange County, but I have no idea. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, as they say goodbye to Josh and his wife, they're walking out, and then like 2 seconds later, they come back in. They just signed. So I guess contingencies lifted. It's a go. It's go time. Time to pop the champs. I have to say, Terry Dubrow is a little disgusting about money. He's real. Look, he's got a lot of it, but he also talks about it a lot, which is kind of off-putting, The 18-year-olds are home, and Terry's like, we sold the house. G6, baby. Ew. Next, we have Taylor Armstrong FaceTiming all the ladies and inviting them to a little fall festival party that she's having. Okay, in the next scene, we are at Harley Davidson store, and Emily is looking around, and Gina comes in, and she's like, hi. So why are we here? And she goes, oh, didn't I tell you I want to take a motorcycle class to learn how to ride a motorcycle? And Gina's like, they're pretty, but like, couldn't we do something that like would kill you a little less? So in Emily's confessional, she's saying, yeah, I'm tired of like saying I want to do stuff. Like, I want to do things. I want to try new things, and, that this is one of them. And so the producer said, what does Shane think? And she goes like, oh, Shane thinks I'm crazy. And the producer asked, are you going to get a sidecar for Shane to ride in? Will Shane ride in the sidecar? And Emily goes, well, he's sidecar sized. So now Gina tells Emily about the coffee that she had with Jen when Jen told her about what happened at Shannon's fiesta party that the two of them missed. And she said, yeah, Shannon said that she was the reason that CPS didn't take my kids away. And Emily goes, why would CPS take your kids away? So Emily explains in her lawyer way that lots of people get DUIs. There would have to be a case. They would have to do due diligence. A lot of things would have to happen before CPS would get involved. So Gina's like, what have I ever done to Shannon? Like, my name shouldn't even be involved in all this. But like, what did I do to her? And Emily goes, yeah, Shannon doesn't like you. Yeah, I guess not. Gina gets a little verklempt, and she's like, it just kills me that you finally get into a place where like you're doing good and somebody just wants to tear you down. In her confessional, Gina goes, it's been 4 years since I made a mistake, and Shannon is such a good friend that she will never let anybody forget it. Then we see a scene in the car with Heather Dubrow. This was 2022, so this must have been last year when Heather came back to the show. Heather, Shannon, and Gina are in the car, and Shannon goes, "She was about to get arrested until I saved her." God, Shannon. Okay, ew. The next scene is at Shannon's house with her and John is scratching her like I don't, it's just weird. You can hear the scratching noise, and she goes, "Oh, that feels good." He's like scratching her back, but in a weird way. Anyway, there's a knock at the door, and it's Tamra, and she comes over, and John's like, "All right, I gotta go." And Tamra goes, "Wait a minute, did you spend the night? Oh my God, should we call Emily and Heather and tell them?" And they're laughing. Tamra is the worst. But, this could be the first night he spent there. I don't know. So Shannon and Tamra sit down to have a little chat out in her backyard by the pool. And I guess Tamra's trying to figure out what they're going to do, like with Heather and stuff, how they're going to resolve this. And Shannon said, "Well, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about John. I just don't care. I'm not doing that anymore." And she said, "But yeah, I do get a little upset when John's like always says I have to go, or I have to go home, and I have to feed the dog. I have things to do at home, and he has to leave." I mean, okay, that sounds like normal stuff people have to go back home for. But then I guess also he'll be like, "Well, your girls are here. There's too much chaos. It's too much noise here." And he wants to leave. Like, that does bother her. Also, side note, no makeup on Shannon. I like that because I feel like this feels more real. Not everybody gets out of bed with the false eyelashes on and the full glam, Anyways, she's saying that, Tamara's like, "Oh, so he's a runner, huh?" And Shannon goes, "Well, he's an avoider. I'm a communicator and he's an avoider." So Tamra, who also doesn't have very much makeup on, I don't think. If this is a trend with the Housewives, I'm all for it. I love it. Anyway, so Tamra says, "Do you think he's afraid to get married?" And Shannon goes, "Possibly, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about marriage. Regardless, these are problems that John and I have to deal with. And it is none of Heather Dubrow or Emily Simpson or Gina Kirschenheiter's business." And Tamra goes, "I agree." Well, then maybe don't drunk dial them and tell them all about it. I mean, I feel like she's avoiding the main point here. Their concern is based upon things that you have told them, Shannon. Yeah, but now Shannon's like, "Their opinions mean nothing to me." Okay. Again, then don't call them. In Tamra's confessional, she said, her and John not talking about marriage is a huge red flag. They've been together for 3 years. A huge red flag to who? I mean, look, Tamra could be right. Maybe she knows Shannon well enough to know that Shannon really wants to get married. And then, yeah, I guess this would be a huge red flag that they don't even discuss it. But I know lots of couples who've been together for many, many years and don't discuss marriage, and they're perfectly happy. Some may say more happy than others. No, I mean, they're just very, very content. It is not a one size fits all. But yeah, it's crazy to me that Shannon is just so like hung up on this it's nobody's business thing when she's the one making it the other people's business. I don't understand why she isn't just saying, "I'm going to make a huge effort when I'm drinking to not call those ladies." Maybe take their numbers out of your phone. I don't know, but she's really not taking any responsibility for why those other ladies are involved. She's like, and everybody has. I mean, look, we've got the sex, money, kids problems that everybody has. Tamara's like, "We're going through a dry spell right now, too." And she goes, "Sex-wise. I mean, yeah, not money-wise." Shannon, "Oh, sex is good. We're good there." Ew. Next, we are at Jen's house, and she and Ryan are working out with a personal trainer, Chanel. Unclear as to whether or not Chanel has slept with TW, but For the sake of argument, let's just assume that she has. She's on the dick pic list. So apparently the two of them are going to a wedding, and then Ryan asks Jen, when are we getting married? And she's like, oh boy, I knew this was coming. And she's like trying to avoid it. In his confessional, TW is like, Jen is the whole package. So she's like, why do you want to tie this down? Like, we're having so much fun. We're having a good time. Why do you want to have this tie? And he goes, because it's you. And that melts her heart. And she comes over close to him and she goes, I have to say the idea of marrying you is scary to me. Why? Because I hate the fact that somebody else came between us. And he goes, but somebody didn't come between us. You can't say that because we took a break and we didn't know if we'd ever get back together. That person came between us. That's not an accurate statement. So Jen does feel like that was someone that came between them. In her confessional, she said there were absolutely no rules or parameters for when Ryan and I took a break. So there's like back and forth with their two confessionals. And, she's like, I understand we were on a break, but we were talking every single day. And then Ryan's like, did Jen expect me to have a connection? Or let me back that up. Have sex with somebody else? Absolutely not. Anyway, Jen is, she's like, it isn't just me. There's 7 kids, I don't want to put them in a position where, I got to move them out of your house. And he goes, look, I love you and our 7 kids. Why would I f this up? I mean, because you're the town whore. I don't know if you can help it. That's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, next we are at Shreds, which is a new gym with Tamra and Eddie. And she's like, yeah, it feels weird working out at some other gym, but, it is what it is. So while they're there, she tells Eddie that she had breakfast with Shannon and Emily. And she goes, they just like to bully Shannon. And then we see a little scene of that breakfast. This doesn't prove any bullying, but in this scene, Emily said, it's not a secret if you're telling multiple people. And Tamra just said, well, I just really want this to work out with Shannon. And Heather said, oh, no, I do too. And Tamra said, well, I think the only way you can fix this is to talk to her. So now back at the gym, she says to Eddie, I'm not really getting Heather lately. You should have seen these fake paparazzi pics at Disneyland with her and Terry. They were hugging each other and they're like this at the camera, like looking off into the distance. Then we see one of the pictures and Tamara's like, oh, it's like the happy couple proving to everybody that no problem in their marriage. So in her confessional, this is so funny. So then in her confessional, Tamara goes, I mean, look, I just think it's weird. No, 100%, there's no part of me that thinks that Terry is cheating on her. But those Sears catalog pictures. And then Bravo shows us a side by side of their picture and a catalog picture. It's so funny. But Tamara's like, look, if Angelina Jolie were at Disneyland, I'm sure somebody would take a picture. But Heather, I don't care what she did in the 1900s. She is not an A-list celebrity. All right, next we are at a little restaurant outside having lunch, I guess, with Heather and Shannon. And this feels very much like when Heather came to meet her before her fiesta. Heather comes, they, exchange a couple of little niceties. You look nice, your hair looks pretty, whatever. And they sit down and Heather goes, listen, before we get started here, I just want you to know that my goal is for us to get to a better place. And Shannon's like, okay, but we've tried to have 2 other conversations that weren't very successful. And Heather's like, I know. What the heck is this confessional look of Shannon's? I didn't even know it was Shannon. Wow. Okay. I mean, is it just because her hair's up or was it like work has been done? I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyway, in this confessional, she said, Heather's violation of the vault, the trust that I thought we had together, it was just a slap in the face. Isn't her makeup? Something's different, right? If you guys, honestly, if you guys showed me this picture and asked me to identify this person, I would say, I don't know who that is. Now, in Heather's confessional, she goes, there is no vault. She went and gave everybody the combination, and I'm sick of it. So, I mean, that is true. Shannon, you can't act like something you told her in confidence, that you trusted, that you said, please don't repeat this, that, you can't blame her for sharing something that you also told other people. And that's who she's like comparing notes with. So Shannon tells Heather that she has talked about this with Tamra and Emily, and both of them have told her, we didn't bring up your relationship. Heather did. And Heather said, well, when Tamra first came back to the group, she said to me, are you getting the calls? Or are you getting this? Are you hearing this? Is she telling you about her relationship? And there were things that I could have agreed with, but I just said, nope, 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 nope. Shannon looks a little sick to her stomach, maybe she's not sure. I mean, come on, Shannon. You're believing Tamra like it's the word of God. That's the thing that I can't understand. I feel like I will never understand that. Tamra is a little bit like Lisa Rinna in that putting on a show for the Housewives show is kind of priority one. Not you. We are getting flashbacks that corroborate Heather's side of this, that Tamra has been saying things like that. Anyway, Heather just says, look, it's never been my goal to talk about your relationship, which I'm sure it's not, because Heather's pretty damn self-centered. You think Heather cares that much about Shannon and John? I don't. So Shannon's like, look, I mean, I feel like we're on the hamster wheel because I have very normal problems in my relationship. And I have never loved someone more in my entire life. Again, sorry, girls. In Heather's confessional, she's like, I don't have any idea what to do with this because you're telling me this stuff, but I have all this information of things that you've told me in private. Am I just in public? Am I just supposed to forget all that? Shannon just gets back to the place again where she's like, look, if you're my friend and you have a concern, just talk to me about it. So Heather said, I honestly apologize. And then we get this soft, sad music as Heather pauses, kind of tries to compose herself. In my heart and in my mind, I don't believe that I was talking you or trying to stir things up at all. If it came out that way, I apologize. And Shannon just said, thank you for saying that, and I appreciate that. Heather is taking her napkin and is dabbing at the inner corners of her eyes. And then in Shannon's confessional, she goes, and the tears come out. Wonderful. I wonder how long you've practiced that in the mirror. Oh, God. So just stop. Put her out of her misery, Shannon. You're not going to forgive her. You, for reasons unbeknownst to most of us, I think, you are trusting and believing what Tamra tells you. So you've picked a team, and it's not Heather. So let's just let Heather go. Let the mouse go. Don't make her apologize anymore. You clearly don't believe her. Oh my God. I just saw the rest of it. She's like, oh, very, very good. Very good acting. Maybe you can put this lunch in your IMDb. Heather, so where do we go from here? Well, my feelings have been very hurt. And, what I generally need to do is just step away and take time to process this. And Heather's like, okay, I understand that. And I just want you to know, I was really happy that you wanted to sit down and talk to me today. I really was. I miss you, Shannon. Okay. Okay, now everyone is getting glammed up to go pumpkin picking or something. I don't know, a hayride. You know how you have your hair and makeup done for a hayride. Yeah, this must be the fall festival party that Taylor has invited all the ladies to. And on the way there, Tamra is in the car with Jen. She's FaceTiming Teddy Mellencamp, who, as most of you know, is her co-host on Two Teas in a Pod, the podcast that Tamra and Teddy do together. And Tamra had taken the day off the day before, and Teddy had to give her a heads up about something that was said on the show yesterday. And Tamara's like, oh God, what? And she said, just that the paparazzi don't come to Orange County. You have to call them. I assume that is about Heather Dubrow in the pictures that were taken with her and Terry, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter because Tamra already said what she said, although that didn't air until now. And I don't know when I guess the podcast, you know, obviously aired in real time. So she goes, oh, great, I'm going to see her right now. And they just kind of laughed. Also, side note, is this just like my recording, or did her voice turn into like The Exorcist? Teddy Mellencamp's voice. Like you can hear her on the phone and she goes, oh, I just said that paparazzi don't come to Orange County. Did you guys hear that? I'm going to see if I can get you to hear this. What did you do, Teddy?
Well, I just pointed out that paparazzi do not come to Orange County. You have to call them.
Oh, great. You know, I'm heading. Oh, my God. That was scary, right? Okay, so the ladies are going to have a pumpkin carving lesson, I guess. And then, I mean, it does look nice. They have a very, very pretty, fancy, like lunch table set up, and there's a bar and all that. So sort of a high-end pumpkin picking day. Ooh, the bar has an apple cinnamon cider margarita. Heather's like, ooh, I'll have the champagne. Does she drink anything other than champagne? Oh, no, she does. She just had like an espresso martini without the Kahlua. Okay, so the ladies are all there, I think, except Shannon. Tamra asks Heather, are you good with Shannon now? And she's like, mm-hmm. And Tamra's like, oh, you do not seem convinced. Well, yeah, because I don't think it's ever really going to be good. And Gina and Emily are there. Tamra asked her about the motorcycle class, and she's like, yeah, it was good. She has to go back again. I forgot. Tamra rides a motorcycle. That's how the whole season started, with her on the bike. Okay, so like I said, they're all there except Shannon, and Taylor's like, okay, so I need all of you to just like go out in the field and pick your pumpkin and bring it back. And then there's, you know, going to be the carving. Somebody said, aren't we going to wait for Shannon? And Gina goes, we wait for Shannon all the time. I don't feel like waiting for Shannon today. Yeah. She's not happy. So while they're all out in the field, Emily finds Jen, and Taylor's there too. And she said, Jen, you have to help me out with something because you were at the fiesta. What did Shannon say about Gina and her kids with in the whole DUI thing? Meanwhile, Gina is asking Tamra the same question. She goes, I got to ask you, what did Shannon say about my kids? Something about CPS? And Tamra's like, I don't remember. I don't remember ever hearing that, but Jen told me about that in the car on the way here. So in the car, we get a flashback to that. And in the car, Tamra does go, oh, yeah. So now Gina goes, well, why is Shannon talking about that? And Tamra goes, I don't know. Did CPS come to your house? And she goes, no. So Heather is in this group of ladies with Emily, Jen, and Taylor. And Emily said, you know, when you bring CPS into it, that's a whole nother thing. And Heather goes, what? And they go, Child Protective Services. And she goes, yeah, I know what it is, but who brought it up? Shannon. And so now Heather's like, in her confessional, she goes, wait a minute. You can't dare say that she and John don't have the best relationship, but this is okay conversation. So, you know, Taylor's like, let's just, pick our pumpkins. And so now it's just Jen and Taylor. And Jen goes, do you not remember that conversation? Because you were there too. And Taylor goes, yeah, I do. I don't remember that. All right. Now, you guys, there was a lot of tequila being ingested. So much so that like Bravo made it look blurry, like so that we got the idea that everybody was really buzzed. And it's possible that Tamra and Taylor don't remember it or didn't heard it and thought nothing of it and didn't retain the information. I don't know, but all I know is she did say it. Jen is right. And I don't know if the others are just pretending to not remember for Shannon's sake or if they really don't remember. Now, Tamra is telling Gina she doesn't remember it at all. And, Gina, you might want to talk to Shannon about that first because Jen could possibly be twisting something. You have been the worst friend to Jen, Tamra, since the season started. In Gina's confessional, she said, if there's anyone that's going to be twisting something, it's not going to be Jen. It's definitely going to be Tamra. Yeah, Gina's got her number. So many of you guys do not like Gina, but this year I actually kind of like her. Okay, so Shannon finally arrives and she looks miserable. She's huffing and puffing like the long walk from the car, I guess. And I guess she had an IV and then because someone asked, are you okay? And she's like, oh yeah, I had an IV and she's got like her arm is all bruised on the inside. I don't know what's going on with her, but now it's time to learn how to carve your pumpkin. And the woman teaching them tells them to first cut the bottom of their pumpkin and then take all the guts out from the bottom. And they're being, of course, very mature about that. I have to cut a butthole. Tamara's like, first we have to cut a butthole. Then we have to fist our pumpkin. Something's wrong here. So dumb. These are women in their 50s. Okay. Shannon in her confessional tells us that she does not like pumpkins. I don't like the fall. Who would want to celebrate morbidity and death? And I don't like the colors orange or brown or green. I'm the Scrooge of the fall. I'm not a fan of the fall. So as they're carving, Shannon whispers to Tamra, this is kind of weird, right? Feels weird. And half these people weren't at my party. We get to see some of the pumpkins. They're terrible, of course. Heather's is a champagne flute with bubbles, which is just like basically a big rectangle hole in the front. And honestly, not one of the worst either. Tamra's, I think, was just a giant hole in the front of it. Anyway, Tamra whispers back to Shannon something like, did you see something about Gina and her kids, like with CPS at your party? And Shannon's like, what? Yeah, Jen told Gina that. And Shannon goes, no. And Tamra goes, that's what she told her. So out loud to the whole table, Shannon said, Jen, you said that I said CPS was coming for Gina's kids? What are you talking about? I would never say that. Yeah, except you did. And if Bravo doesn't give us the flashback when you said it, I'm going to be very disappointed. We went to a commercial. All right, let's get through this. Yes, we're getting the flashback. It says 4 days earlier, it's at the fiesta party, and Shannon goes, she was about to get arrested with her kids. It would have gone to Child Protective Services. Back to the pumpkin patch. Shannon, never said it. God strike me dead. That's when I know I didn't say something. Then I tell God to strike me dead if I did say it, because I know I never said that. So, stop stirring stuff up, Jen, all right? Jesus Christ. They strike me dead if I'm lying. So Emily said, I don't understand where that would come from. Then we have Tamra in her confessional saying, I don't remember Shannon saying that. Flashback to Tamra leaning back so that they can talk behind Eddie to Jen. She's talking about Gina got arrested. That's what she's referring to. Yeah. So Tamara's like, yeah, I don't remember her saying it, but if she did say it, then don't let me be standing next to her when God strikes her dead. And now Jen's pretty angry. And she said, she even said how your mom went to her. I don't know this stuff. Unbelievable. In Jen's confessional, she said, Shannon is super sideways about this, about not saying it, which tells me that she knows that she did say it. Then we get Heather's confessional. Okay, so you're telling me that Jen just plucked this story out of thin air? Yeah, I don't think so. Good try, Shannon. And then Shannon's confessional. I don't remember saying that. Yeah, then say that. Say you don't remember. You're making it sound like you know for a fact that you did not say that. Back to Jen's confessional, she's like, why don't you just own up? You said it. If I were Jen, honestly, I would say, and I know this is breaking the fourth wall, but I would say to everybody, to Gina, but like to everybody there, then let's just wait till the episode airs because it happened on camera. She said it on camera. So just by virtue of the fact that we're having this discussion right now would force Bravo to prove it either way, you know? Like if it didn't air the first time for some reason, if it got cut, now that they're having the discussion at the pumpkin patch, that would mean that Bravo would like have to go find that footage. And they did find the footage and air it now during this discussion. So Gina goes, I'm so confused at this point because this is what I think you do, Shannon. And Emily said, I don't feel like Jen's making it up. Right. And what would be Jen's motive for that? So Shannon screams, my friends were there. And Jen screams, I was there. But Shannon's like, I never said that. You know what I said, Gina? I said, I'm never allowed to talk about anything good that I've ever done for Gina. I said I'm not going to talk about it. Gina's like, but you clearly did talk about it because Jen knows all about something that I would clearly not lead with. Shannon's like, I didn't say it. Googled it. Maybe she Googled it. And Jen goes, I did not Google it. And then to Gina, she goes, I'm not making up what Shannon said. And Gina goes, I believe you. In Jen's confessional, she's like, Tamra's the one who was explaining to me about Gina's DUI at the dinner table. So now it's funny to me that like she can't remember any of it either. And in this moment, it would have been nice to have my friend stand up for me and have my back. Yes, Jen, but how many times does Tamra have to do something crappy to you for you to get it? How many chances are you going to give Tamra? So Jen's like, I heard you say it. There was some attorney that if you hadn't given her their number, her kids would have been taken from her. And Gina goes, it's not true. She's like furious that this is like being discussed. I don't blame her, but I don't blame Jen for defending herself. And Tamra, does anybody realize that Tamra's the one that brought this up right now? It wasn't even Gina that brought it up. Tamra had to, like a little mouse, like a little rat. She had to whisper it to Shannon, and then Shannon yelled it across the table to Jen. So yeah, Gina is like highly agitated. Nobody gets a DUI and then gets their kids taken away from them. And Shannon goes, they were going to arrest you in the morning. Gina goes, no, they weren't. How do you know? You clock in with the cops? And Emily goes, it was a bench warrant. They wouldn't have shown up at her house to arrest her. So now as everybody is discussing like how warrants work and stuff, Shannon whispers to Tamra, Tamra, do you remember the pain I was having the other night? It's happening again. And Tamara's like, okay, calm down. That's stress. It's stress. Take deep breaths. Yeah, Shannon is just, it keeps her up at night. The people, the amount of stress she's been under, the people discussing her normal relationship. It's very stressful. But not Gina. She couldn't care less about Gina. That's not her. Like, Shannon is such a piece of work this season. And I like Shannon. I see so many similarities between like the franchises with the Housewives. You know how I said that Tamra is kind of the Lisa Rinna. Shannon is kind of turning into the Dorinda in a way. Like, oh, is she like drinking too much? Is this like still fun to see her like this? Or is it become a situation where like, no, this is a real problem and she needs a break. She might need to get some help. I don't know. Meanwhile, Heather is sitting across the table from Shannon, seeing Shannon in distress, gulping water. And Heather said, "Are you okay?" Shannon, no, it was anxiety. So Gina says to Shannon, "The only thing I ever said was I respect you enough that I don't talk about your relationship. So if that is offensive to you and that makes you want to shit all over me and my family and my children and my life continuously, Shannon, then that's fine." Oh, is it? Tamra, I don't think she's shitting on your children. So Shannon said, "I want to explain myself because it sounds terrible, but Heather and I kept saying, what are they talking about over there? And it sounded like you specifically were talking about my relationship." So we get a flashback to something minor that Gina was saying. Honestly, this whole thing about talking about Shannon's relationship, it's all minor. Nobody said anything horrible. All anybody has ever said on camera was that they were concerned. And Heather did say in her confessional a couple of the things, like him not spending the night and that kind of thing. I'm sorry to say, Shannon herself was the one that told us that his son doesn't like her. That came out of Shannon's mouth. But this can't go on the camera, as she's staring right at the TV camera. So Shannon says that, she heard Gina talking, and then in her confessional, Shannon's like, "When I thought Gina was piping in, yeah, that set me off. If you're going to be talking about my relationship, why don't we talk about yours?" Which apparently you already have been doing, Shannon. So Gina goes, "You just launched a bunch of grenades at me across the pool. I was like putting it out there, kind of like the way Heather did. Like just saying, oh, it's so bad. And then everybody thinks, oh, it's so bad. That's kind of what I did. I wasn't doing it to hurt you or trash you. I just said I knew other stuff that I wasn't saying. I just implied it. But not to hurt you." So then she goes, "People have been coming at me. I don't talk about anybody's relationship. People come to me all the time, and I don't talk about Travis." Tamra, the penis comment. What? We get a flashback to 2 weeks ago when Shannon said, "Oh, let's talk about Travis and this big penis." So Shannon's like, Don't say that. Don't say that. And Tamra goes, but like that was some weird comment. Shannon, this is why I shouldn't have brought it up. Yeah, because your friend Tamra is really holding you accountable for this right now, right here and right now. And then so somebody said something. Emily goes, "Who has a small penis?" "Travis," she says. And Jeannie's like, "Oh, he's fine." Oh, that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. It's fine. He's fine. I guess it's not something you would take a picture of and send to everyone in your contact list, but it's fine. Then we get all the confessionals of the ladies, and Taylor's like, "Jesus, let's just line all the men up and have a little penis contest or a big penis contest." And then Gina, God, every time Gina opens her mouth, she makes it worse. In her confessional, she goes, "Travis, he has a lovely sized penis." Like, oh no. Oh God. Travis. Emily, Shane has a large penis. I would just like to throw that out there. It's not a sidecar sized penis. And then Jen, of course. Well, the whole world gets dick pics, so there's no question there. So Gina said, it's probably just like small miscommunications that turn into something big, because at this point, I think we both expect the worst in each other. And Tamra goes, oh, okay. Can we just move on? Why, are you done having fun, Tamra? Is that it? So there's like a very big, awkward... Are you okay? Are we fine? Is everybody fine? And Shannon goes, I'm fine. Are you fine? And Gina goes, yeah, I mean, I'm upset. I just wanted to stop. I would very much like that. And Shannon goes, perfect. And I will do the same. Okay, so apparently that all still happened at the pumpkin carving table, because just now is everybody moving over to the table where they're going to have lunch. I feel like, were they even drinking while they were carving pumpkins? Probably not. Because, you know, they all had knives in their hands. It wouldn't have been a great idea. But yeah, all that happened sober. So now we move to the beautiful table that Taylor has set up for them to have lunch. And Heather is sitting next to Tamra. And Tamra says, I have something I need to say to Heather, like right away. And Heather goes, oh, is it bad? And Tamra goes, well, it's not good. So she tells her about the podcast. And she said, you know, that Teddy went in hard about her staged paparazzi photos. Heather laughs and she goes, I'm not going to give light to it because it's not true. And Tamra goes, but it was taken with a professional camera. And Heather's like, well, how would I know that? And Tamra goes, you can tell by the way it was shot. And Heather goes, wait a minute. Are you literally accusing me of this? She is. Tamra's like, well, it's suspicious. And Heather's like, what? Did anybody like call me and say they were worried or they were concerned about my marriage? And Emily goes, I wasn't concerned about your marriage. Like, she didn't believe the rumors. And Tamra's like, well, I mean, I just didn't know. And Heather goes, saying that is inferring that you thought it might be true. And Tamra goes, well, I mean, there's no paparazzi at Disneyland. Heather's like, okay, you can think whatever you want, Tamra. So yeah, in her confessional, Heather's like, I mean, after this, why would I tell them about the sale of the house? So, you know, it's awkward. Heather asks Gina what's going on with the real estate. And she said she passed all 3 of the exams, but she's still waiting for the approval to take the state exam. So I guess she passed everything, all the preliminary stuff. I don't know how it works. And then either she or Emily asked Heather about that fireside thing, that streaming thing with Mark Cuban. And Heather said she's going to have a launch party, of course. What is the Housewives without a launch party? But she said, you know, and I would love for you guys to come and just celebrate. The camera keeps panning over to Shannon so that we know that Shannon is being very quiet. So anyway, Tamra goes, is it going to be at your house? They don't know. She's moving. And she said, no, I'm going to do it at Vea. Do you guys know Vea? You know, the one where we did cotillion. Anyone? No? No one? No one had no one had a debutante ball? So Shannon says, I hate to be very rude, but Taylor, I have to go. Thank you very much for inviting me. And Taylor's like, oh, thank you for coming. She walks away and Taylor says to the others, I'm a little worried about her having like a health issue. Tamra goes, it was just anxiety. And then Emily asks Gina if she's okay. And she goes, I'm okay. But I just feel like it's hard to approach Shannon with anything. Tamra's like nodding her head, but you know that whatever these women say right now, Tamra will, you know, interpret it in her own way and report back to Shannon. So be careful, ladies. Yeah. Gina in her confessional, like she can't understand how Shannon like says such a horrible thing like the CPS comment and can't remember it. If you really can't remember it, then you need to go to rehab. And when you do, and you get to the I'm sorry step, I'll be waiting for my apology. Yeah. And then Emily says to everybody at the table, I do feel like there's a double standard with Shannon because like the comment about Travis, I feel like if that comment was about John Jansen, Shannon would have lost it. Yeah. And Gina goes, well, no, because John Jansen's penis is 14 karat gold. Emily goes, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. And Taylor goes, and 14 inches long. Okay. Too much talk about John Jansen's penis for me. I'd rather discuss the town whores, quite frankly, because at least he's providing a service for others with the pictures being sent randomly to those lucky recipients. That was this episode, you guys. Let me watch the previews. Okay. Good stuff coming up. A Mexico trip that looks kind of juicy, but that's for another time. Thank you guys for being here this time. If you liked this recap, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet done so. Don't forget, if you click on the bell icon, you will get notifications every time I post something new. If you're an Amazon shopper, don't forget that if you go through one of my links in the description box below, I will get a small percentage of any qualifying purchases that you make. That's it. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.